This just happened, and my wife is currently sleeping while my mom is blowing up my phone. I, 33 male, am married to my wonderful wife, Melody, 29, and she's currently pregnant with our first child together. In addition, I have a young daughter, Tina, whose mother I split 50-50 custody with. So I know for the most part what Melody needs to feel supported while she carries our child. I've been spending lots of time making sure she's comfortable and taking on more of the load at home so she's not doing too much. This is her first child after all, and it's a lot for her physically and emotionally. My mother and Melody don't get along too well. My mom didn't like my ex either. We broke up because we headed on different paths, not because of my mother, and there's no bad blood. So I think she doesn't like her because she's dating me for whatever reason. It's weird. She's very nitpicky about Melody, what she does around the house, how emotional she is. Melody already cries very easily, and being pregnant has made her even more sensitive, which is fine, and the fact that she wants to be a stay-at-home mom. It just seems like nothing Melody does is okay. I do, however, stand up for her and don't just allow my mom to talk down to her. Today, before picking up my daughter from summer camp, Melody went to 3 different grocery stores to find rotisserie chicken. She's been talking about it since last night and really wanted one, LOL. She sent me picture messages documenting her quest for the chicken and finally found it. My girl was happy. Rotisserie chicken is also a comfort food for her, like spaghetti, because her mom used to get one of those when she was having a lazy day and didn't feel like cooking. She was planning on serving that with some other basic sides for dinner, which was perfectly fine by me. My mother came by to see Tina and started telling Melody that the chicken was bad for her and that she should not be eating that pregnant. Melody said it's fine. She usually eats healthy and just wants this one thing she's craving. My mom went on about how unhealthy it was and said she needed to eat something else. Melody said no and went to the backyard to FaceTime her family out of state. When she came back, my mom had thrown out the food and ordered a takeout salad for Melody and pizza for everyone else. Melody asked where the chicken was, and my mom told her she needed to start being a responsible mother and eat correctly for her baby. Melody screamed, "What the heck is wrong with you? Why are you always such a witch to me?" She then started crying and called me home. After hearing her story, I asked my mother to leave and said she was not to come back until she apologized for how she treated Melody. My mom went on about how I'm choosing another woman over her, but I just think enough is enough, and Melody reached her limit. She apologized to me for blowing up when Tina was in the house, but I told her it's okay, things happen. Tina's okay, and I went to find her another chicken before the store closed. My dad thinks I'm right for taking Melody's side, but my brother thinks I should always defend Mom. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but your mom sure is. As a former pregnant woman, if my mother-in-law would have thrown away food I was craving and ordered me a salad instead, I would have thrown her on a rotisserie and spun her around until she apologized. Glad you went on a hunt for the chicken to replace the one your mother trashed. Great husbanding on your end, OP. Brother must learn that defending mom will not land him in any relationships. Your mom is controlling and is a red flag. Also, what is that comment that you're choosing another woman over her? Sounds like you need to remind her that she's your mother, not your wife. Mothers of boys can be so possessive of their sons, and she's one of them. I'm glad you're not letting her. Always defend your wife. Brother annoys me so much. This isn't about defending people or picking sides. You defend the person that's right, regardless of relationship status. But you are right in that if you want a healthy relationship, boundaries with family are essential. My husband's parents tried to bring up honor your father and mother when they were disrespecting our choices when we were engaged. My husband shot back, a man will leave his parents and cleave to his wife. Now, if you're going to get biblical, don't forget the Bible. 14 years later, we all have a wonderful relationship with no boundary stomping. I love my mother-in-law to pieces now, but it took years. I have 2 kids, Jake and Jamie. Jake is a male teen and big into, the media I like is my entire personality, and I'm better than you because I like those things, and has grown up to be very judgmental, cold, and mean. We do not know how this happened, but his nasty attitude toward his little sister is the worst. Jamie is a younger female teen and is a very bubbly, friendly girl. She makes friends with everyone everywhere she goes, and is also a mini trendsetter for her school. She started selling homemade scrunchies at school, and it took off. Jake always makes fun of her for being vapid, girly, etc. So my husband talked to him about misogyny because we were both shocked at where that came from. We thought the issue was handled, and he started to be nicer to Jamie. Until the last week of school, when Jamie returned from school, having won an award for the scrunchie business, we were proud of her and had tacos, her favorite, for dinner. Mind you, we'd do the same if Jake did something like that. We love to celebrate their successes. Jake was cranky at dinner and interrupted the conversation to discuss his video game accomplishments. We were all very polite and listened and congratulated him. Then he just looked at his sister and said, "And I did that by myself, without having to make everyone else hear about it all the time and dressing up like a pick-me to get everyone's attention." I just looked at my husband, then Jake, and said, "Being a nerd doesn't make you superior to anyone in this family, Jake. You can like video games and still be nice to your family, especially your little sister, so quit acting like a little snot." He got red in the face and took his little tantrum upstairs to his room. Since then, he's barely talked to anyone and holds up in his room playing games all day. My husband told me I shouldn't have said that because it would pit them against each other even more, even though Jamie doesn't understand why her brother treats her like this. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Cut the internet off and see how much he can do by himself then. The kid sounds like a nice guy in the making. I recommend some therapy, but also try to open dialogue with him to figure out where all this anger towards anything feminine comes from. I think there might actually be some secret here. Where did he learn all the misogyny? From all the toxic boys he's playing all those video games with. I know it's not all of them, but it's why I just stopped playing online games years ago. Little boys yelling awful sexist and phobic things to their heart's content. And good on you for calling him out in front of his sister. She needs to know you'll not accept that behavior, and he needs to be embarrassed by his behavior. I also think OP's husband needs to be calling and shaming him harder. Unfortunately, psychology has shown that misogynists don't accept criticism from women in their lives, as it aligns with their victim complex, but having men, especially men in authority, come down hard on his views, you have a chance of saving him. I'm not going to pass a judgment. Jake is being an idiot here, and you need to do some parenting, but at the same time, read your own story. Jamie gets praised every other sentence, while you call Jake names almost as much. This is obviously only a short story about how and why you think Jake was being an idiot, but it also looks like you've been favoring Jamie more than him, even if involuntarily. I'm not entirely sure if he's a generic woman hater or is jealous of Jamie being treated better than him. I'm a 25-year-old female and my husband is 27. My niece is a toddler. My sister asked me if we would take her daughter since she had to go out of town for a surgical procedure and wouldn't be able to care for her daughter while she recovers. I ran this by my husband, who immediately said no and shook his head. I said it was my niece, and that just because we weren't fans of having kids ourselves doesn't mean we can't do a favor for family. It ended in an argument, but I ended up taking her anyway. He refuses to do anything with her. This isn't the first time they've met. He just never really interacted with her, which I don't expect him to. But when I brought up that he could have a better attitude about this, he just said that I shouldn't have brought a kid into our home. He also said that because of this, I'm probably going to change my mind about having kids, and he won't put up with that. He said that he would divorce me if I even suggested it. My niece hasn't even been much of a problem. In fact, she's usually quiet unless she's hungry or tired. Yes, she gets into stuff and makes messes, but I assume that's standard toddler behavior. I don't understand why he's so angry since it's not like he has to do anything. Edit. I should add that she'll only be here for about a week and a half, maybe longer if my sister has complications, but we don't know yet. Also, I told him he should have a better attitude towards her, because I read that kids can tell if you don't like them, and being away from her mom's already enough for her. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. I don't care who it is. You don't arbitrarily get to bring someone to stay at your home when your partner says no. So why should he have a good attitude when he said no to someone staying in his home, and you decided that you didn't care, and you were going to do it anyway? Why even go through the charade of asking if you don't care about his answer? Agree. You are the idiot for asking your husband and then doing it anyway. I'm a mother and am always volunteering to watch the kids of my family and friends, but I would never bring a toddler into the house with an adult that's not comfortable with kids for 10 plus days. That's a tough age. Not the idiot. I'm surprised some people are voting you the idiot here. OP did a favor for her sister, who's having a complicated surgery. I'm sure the sister tried finding other means of care. This is what family does for one another. It doesn't mean she's entitled to do it, but OP has the empathy to do so, which OP's husband seriously lacks. And then the comments about divorcing at the mention of wanting kids. Frankly, his idea that you'd be likely to change your mind just from doing a favor for your sister is insulting to you. That's a big leap. Shows where his head is at. Spoiler, not focused on sister's surgery and well-being of niece, and just a pretty idiot thing to say in general. Exactly, all of this. I'm child-free myself, but when my best friend donated a kidney to his wife, I was ready to be with their kid for 2 months if need be, while they recover. It's his family too, and he should have never said no. He should care enough to sacrifice his freedom for a couple of weeks. I assume the sister wouldn't have asked if she had better options. I, 20 male, was supposed to go on a trip together with my brother, teen, my dad, 47, his girlfriend, and her children. However, recently I came out to my dad, and since then he's been making jokes about my orientation, like, "Who did you convert last night?" or "How many men did you plow through last night?" He also asked me if my boyfriend's breath smells like a rat after I told him that he's half Chinese. Obviously, all these things bothered me, and I've told him before the trip that I'll only come if he stops saying all these homophobic jokes about me. He just told me that they're not homophobic and I'm just emotional, but he'll stop them if it makes me feel better. Well, on the day of the trip, we stopped at McDonald's to eat. I've gotten nauseous from all that junk food and asked to go a bit on the terrace for fresh air. After getting there, my dad asked me, "What, you're also pregnant now?" I'd had enough and my nausea passed. I told them that I was going back home because I really couldn't stand being subjected to my dad's jokes anymore. Everyone tried to stop me, but I'd already decided. Now, my dad and brother are mad at me for ruining an entire trip over not having to take a harmless joke. Honestly, they may be right. Like, I even cried a little bit over that stupid joke once I got home, which, in hindsight, I'm very ashamed of because being asked jokingly if you're pregnant really doesn't seem like a thing an average person should cry over. I think my dad may be right that I'm too emotional, and maybe I should seek some therapy for that to avoid such situations in the future. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, one bit. He is homophobic and a racist, and he's manipulating you, and while he succeeded because of the last line you wrote, there is nothing wrong with you. Major idiots are your dad and brother. Good that you stood up for yourself and made them show that you aren't to be messed with. I'm so sorry you went through that. You weren't crying over a stupid joke. You were bullied, and it was hurtful enough to make you cry. A joke is supposed to make both parties laugh. You're not in the wrong at all. Jokes and pranks are only funny when everyone agrees that they're funny. Crying because your dad can't show you love and respect for even the duration of a single trip is totally understandable. You deserve to be treated and spoken to with respect. Oh, and sure, therapy's always a good idea when you grow up with a toxic parent. Go to therapy. It will help you, and you'll learn to stand up for yourself and put a stop to the jokes even faster. I love it when people say you're too emotional or too sensitive. Your dad sounds like one of those types who has no filter between brain and mouth. And he isn't going to learn to stop throughout one vacation, even if he wanted to, which he doesn't. I don't see you as having any real choice in the matter. OP, I think you need to go no contact with your dad until he completely and totally understands that his sense of humor is awful, how harmful it is to his son, and why it needs to stop. Until he does, you shouldn't have any contact with him at all for the sake of your mental health. So I, 27 female, live with my boyfriend, 27 male, and have been for about 4 years. My boyfriend has some female friends, and I have some male friends. It's no big deal. I am not a jealous person. I don't get jealous when my boyfriend is talking to another girl casually while we're out. He's never given me the flirty vibes with them, and we've had no issues with cheating. Now, before my boyfriend and I met, my boyfriend had a brief fling with a girl, let's call her S. He and S went on a few dates before eventually deciding to be friends. While they were dating, they did sleep together. After they stopped, they didn't sleep together again, but saw each other fairly often, it sounds like. Since we've been together, he hasn't seen her. Every once in a while, he'll talk about S and about how whatever guy she's dating at the time isn't good enough. I do get a little pang of jealousy, but I let it go because I'd also be mad if a guy I was friends with were dating trash women. I feel like this is a normal feeling and not driving me to be some crazy psycho witch. He recently mentioned that he wants to see her again, and that if she comes to visit our city, which he has family in because he's originally from here, he wants her to stay with us in our guest room for a night or two. I felt uncomfortable with this and told him I would prefer that she didn't, and she has family here, so can't she just stay with them? He told me I was being unreasonable and trying to ruin his friendship with her. I told him absolutely not, and that we could hang out with her, but I didn't want her to sleep at our place. It just makes me uncomfortable, and it's a line. I don't even think a strict one that I'm drawing in the sand. Plus, you can have plenty of adult friendships where no one ever has any sleepovers. We are adults. Honestly, it's really troubling to me that he won't just accept my boundary, which I find to not be strict at all. Since this conversation, he has teased me about being jealous and unreasonable, but I won't budge. I really don't want to ruin his friendship. I just don't feel comfortable having this girl that he talks about how pretty she is and that he previously slept with stay in our house, especially when she doesn't need to. Also, it's not like she's a big active part of his life. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Red flags are everywhere with this one. That is an understandable boundary, and if he can't understand it's just as much your home as his, maybe it's time to have a serious conversation. OP, I really hate to say this, but it seems like there's more of a worry here than am I the idiot? He clearly still has some feelings for her, as those never truly go away. It's disrespectful for him not to let you have your boundaries. If she had nowhere to stay, I could understand him trying to make you change your mind, but she has family in the area. If this is his hill to die on, you know where his priorities are, and it's with having his ex, whom he still talks about with his own sense of jealousy, stay in your home. You asked why she couldn't just stay with her family, and he responded that you're ruining his friendship. No, you're ruining his chance to somehow sneak a quickie with her. Sorry, honey, this is a tough pill to swallow, but your boyfriend is trying to get his ex so they can have a little something maybe when you're out or sleeping, and he's gaslighting you to accept that it's okay when it isn't. It's not okay at all. Start making plans for your exit. It may not happen, but it seems pretty likely.